Card number 105, Eddie Juiced of the Philadelphia Athletics. And man, if that does not get you excited about vintage baseball cards, I don't know what will. I remember making that video. The background that you saw was the scorecard for the 1953 Philadelphia Athletics. Here's that baseball card again in person, live, and on screen. Card number 105. You know, I always say whenever I see a Philly A's card from this set, I always say the Athletics lucked out with a beautiful day when the photographer took these shots. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll get back to that in a second. But it's card number 105, so that must mean that it is session number 105 of Card Room Live. Hopefully it is. Hopefully my internet holds out. As some of you may recall, I was supposed to go live last Sunday. As I said in the message, Xfinity had other plans. They still have not come to fix the issue at my place, although I've been promised that somebody is coming at some point. So we'll see what happens. This live stream may stop and start a number of times. So just a fair warning: if I suddenly disappear, you have Xfinity to thank, and maybe it won't be such a bad thing if that's what happens. But for those of you that are new to this live stream, it's important for you to know that this is definitely not a show. It's pretty much a hangout for fellow vintage collectors. Although we have collectors of lots of different types of stuff in here. Mostly we've got vintage baseball card collectors in here. Sometimes we have guests. But most of the time what we're doing is we are wasting time looking at and talking about crusty old cardboard. But no matter what we do, we try to make it time well wasted. I want to say welcome to my fellow YouTubers out there. Welcome to the commenters. Welcome to the folks from Instagram, the folks from X. Those of you that are lurkers, welcome to you. This is the live stream where everybody knows your name. And if we don't know your name, we soon will. If you share it, if you're listening to this later, whether you are going to or coming home from work or sorting cards or looking at eBay or sitting on the john or walking the dog or wondering if Eddie Wakus will appear, well, let's just end that mystery right now. Wondering what other kind of Mike foolery we'll get into tonight. Whatever you might be doing, I hope you get something out of it. If you have any ideas for future sessions or you'd like to hop on the live stream and have an idea for a topic, please send me an email at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, bowman53_Alex, and on X, 1953 Bowman Color. And of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Spalding's Official Baseball Guide. I happen to have one of those right here. You probably can't see it because it's pretty far away, but that is an official baseball guide edited by Henry Chadwick, the father of baseball. The best guide ever published, contains new rules and pictures of all the leading teams in the major and minor leagues, as well as individual action pictures of prominent players. Think Babe Ruth, think Ty Cobb. It features the World's Championship and our complete review of the year in the National and American Leagues. For only 10 cents, guys, both baseball managers and players should definitely send off for a copy of Spalding's baseball catalog. Just mail A.G. Spalding and Brothers at 439 Wood Street in New York. And you probably don't want to do that because I don't think you're going to get what you're looking for. But this episode, or this session of Card Room Live, I should say, is sponsored by Spalding's Official Baseball Guide. It's also definitely not sponsored by LaCroix, although it should be because I'm always drinking LaCroix during Card Room Live. How is everybody tonight? I see a lot of comments, and I'm excited to check out who's here and what y'all are thinking about. I have probably not been in this room since I tried to go live last Sunday. It's been a busy time in my life. Not a lot of time for hobby stuff, but it's always on my mind, and I'm always happy to get to reconnect with everybody in the hobby. At the very least, at 8 p.m. on Sundays, to sort of check in with everybody and see how everybody's doing, because it's not just about the cards. It's about the community. So let's see who's here. Mr. Rocket Rick J18 is here. What's up, Rick? Steven, excuse me, with a PH. I am definitely here for another session, guys, and so far so good with the internet. Let's not jinx it. Mike, the sports history collector, is here, and the bar is open, everybody. Dan's Vintage Baseball PC is here. What's up, Dan? Dan has a live stream going on at 9 p.m. in an hour at 4 Collectors, so make sure everybody straps in for that as well. Larry is here. Good evening, Larry. Hammer44 is here. Good evening to you. Sammy Thunder's here. What's up, Sammy? Peacemaker Cards, Living on the Hudson. Mr. Clean Cheap Shots Drew is here. Finally, Alex is back. I was getting tired of watching his reruns. Why would anybody watch a rerun of Card Room Live? Well, I think the answer is there are some good ones when there are guests. Those are definitely worth checking out. And my favorite one of recent memory was session number 100, when a whole bunch of folks from the community jumped on spontaneously. I think that went really well, and it was fun to try to keep up with all the folks that were jumping in. Glad to see that you're here tonight. Pastor Craig is here. What's up? Hugo Signs of the Pastime is here, and Low Grade, No Grade Vintage is here. Peter B is here. Everyday Card Collector Jason is here. Still processing the Bears game. Give me the lowdown, Jason. I have no idea. Give us the lowdown. Alex, reruns are great. You catch the jokes better. Okay. There's a lot of jokes flying around, especially in the comments. Card Room Live rising from the ashes like Eddie Wakus. Yes. After between the ashes of the internet and the ashes of the Phillies baseball season, we're still here. But will the Mets rise again? That's a great question. They will be back, but in what form? We'll find out. Okay, so the Bears lost apparently. Tough year for Chicago sports. Yeah, I wonder if Mitchell's in here. Tough year for Chicago sports for sure. Let's see. Mr. B Roth 6 is here. Wishing you safety down there. I'm glad the internet is back with you. Yeah, thank you, Brian. Again, we're several weeks away from what happened, and all things considered, a lot of other areas in Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida had it much worse than I did. No complaints here. All the complaints I have are pretty mild compared to what a lot of other people are dealing with still, and probably will be dealing with for months to come. But I appreciate it. Phil Necro Fan 35 is here. What's up, Phil? Mookie, we need a ham radio wavelength for when Alex's internet is down. Maybe some Morse code clickers for a chat room. You know what I could do is I could go up into the North Georgia mountains and maybe do some smoke signaling, or some like beacon flashing. And we can come up with a whole Morse code for like what cards we're talking about. We could really get into the weeds with that. Mr. Steven Sports Cards is here. What's up, Dom? Mike, I watch CRL reruns with the volume down because I'm not afraid of silence. There you go. That's kind of a weird thing to do, Mike. There's not a lot of visuals in Card Room Live. They lost the last second on a Hail Mary of 65 yards. Wow. Well, I asked for a quick recap and I got it. Yeah, that's painful. Yeah, there you go. There he is. Speak of the devil. What's up, Mitchell? We were just talking about Chicago sports. Difficult decade. There you go. Peeps is here. What's up? And Hail Mary with no time left. The Bears lost to Commanders. Gotcha. Well, really quickly, a couple things that were on my mind before I started tonight's session. So, as I showed at the beginning of the session, those of you that missed it, today is card number 105. Eddie Joost of the Philadelphia Athletics, shortstop, one of baseball's real veterans. Let's see. Okay, just a bunch of travel information in terms of where he's bounced around. But I really think the Philadelphia Athletics lucked out with a beautiful day for photographs. And so what I decided to do was pull all of the Philadelphia Athletics cards from the 53 Bowman card color set just to share with you guys, so that you can see just what a beautiful day it was when these photographs were taken. I don't know that I pulled all the cards, but I think I pulled nearly all of them. So let's take a look at some of these beautiful cards. This is card number 11, Bobby Shantz. This guy's a friend of the hobby, of course, long time TTMer, and by all accounts, a true gentleman in the hobby. I've seen plenty of videos of folks talking about the great experience that they had getting an autograph from Bobby Shantz. I've even seen footage of Bobby Shantz at card shows signing cards and telling stories. So a great guy and a great player. Card number 13, Gus Zernial. I love this card. This card always makes me think of The Natural, the baseball film. There's something about this card that just feels a bit like Americana and baseball in the 40s and 50s. And the guy is not wearing batting gloves, and it's just a beautiful blue sky with big white clouds in the background. And this guy's a great player as well and has some fun stories. Card number 38, with one of the most entertaining names in the 53 Bowman color set, Harry Bird. Shout out to Bob Lewis, an iconic and legendary YouTuber who I remember joking around about this player with, Harry Bird. Joe Astroth. You can see there's some guys in the background there warming up, probably just a few hours before the game's about to start. I always like to say, golly Moses, it's Wally Moses, manager. And this is a unique set because you've got two coaches for the Philadelphia Athletics in this set. Jimmy Dykes, who here is hanging out in the Yankee dugout, well, the visitors' dugout at Yankee Stadium. And then you've got Wally Moses over here. I'm not exactly sure what his role was. If anybody knows what was Wally Moses' role on the 53 Athletics, I'm sure you could look it up, find it. I don't know offhand. Who else do I have here? Alex Kellner. And then these three may or may not, I'm not sure. I think these three are probably spring training photographs. I know for sure this one is. This is Cass Michaels. This is definitely a spring training photograph. Quintessential Bowman color infield play. These two, it's a little harder to tell. I have a feeling they're probably spring training, but you can't really see anything but clouds in these two photographs. Allie Clark and who's this? Carl Scheib. But you'll notice with a lot of these cards, I'll just hold up some of these again. Maybe not so much Jimmy Dykes, but these cards all just really complement each other very well, right? All these cards, all these photographs are taken on the same day, within minutes of each other. Um, and it all started with this guy. It's the little things that you notice when you're looking through a set. And not all the teams necessarily had the same luck in terms of weather or just the backgrounds, but of course all the shots in the Bowman Color set are gorgeous. All right, let's see what you guys have been saying. On the bright side, the socks are for sale. All right, guys, what do you say we go in on the socks? Can we do it? Probably going to Nashville, right? Nashville's always been on the table, right? And I know that the what's his name, Dave Dombrowski of the Phillies, was originally working on that Nashville project before the Phillies lured him to Philadelphia. How about those Sacramento A's? Really? Is that a possibility? If they go to Nashville, I will be a Sox fan only in history. I'll likely double down on the Cardinals. Okay, yeah, that's interesting, right? I mean, I can't imagine what that must feel like. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Brooklyn Dodgers and all that sort of thing, and being an actual fan of a team that leaves your town is just sounds like a traumatic experience. Dan, Vintage Baseball PC. Bobby Shan says almost always at the Philly show. Yeah, that's the impression I had from what I've heard from others. Yeah, please hit the button. It doesn't matter which one you hit. It could be the dislike button. That's fine. But hit a button. Appreciate it, Jason. Yes, I am giving you the bird. This one goes out to you, Mike. Jimmy Dykes, one of our first two All-Stars in 1933. That's right. Jimmy Dykes himself had a great career as a player before he became a coach. Wally Moses part of the infield. Oh, man. You know what I was missing? That's what I was missing. I was missing the Mookie jokes. What's up, Warren D and CLE? Good to see you, man. Mike Baseball Collector. What's up, man? Who doesn't like clouds? Who doesn't like nice big clouds on a baseball card, right? Mike did some history research for us that says he was a coach, but later on he was the first base coach and the hitting coach. Thank you, Mike. What's up, Doug? Good to see you, man. Dan, Gus Zernial has a better card in the hobby. His wacky 1952 Topps card. Yes, with all the baseballs that are stuck to it. Yes. I don't know if that's a better card, Dan, but it's definitely a more memorable card. I'll say that. Don't say Mookie 3 times or he will appear. I love it. Let's see. Dave Stewart's group is the leading group. Is that right? Oh, look what you did. Look what you did, Mitchell. The A's are playing in Sacramento AAA Stadium for the next couple of years while they finish the Vegas Stadium. Okay, yeah, I remember hearing that in like a news piece. Nashville can have the Cubs. Okay, here we go. Here's all the Chicago vitriol. A couple other things that were on my mind. Obviously, the World Series is going on. And I just pulled a couple of books aside that I recently got. This one I have not yet gotten into yet. But, we're dealing with the Dodgers and the Yankees, which I have said a couple times to some friends that I think it's great for baseball and it sucks for the rest of us. But for a Yankee book, I recently picked this book up, The House That Ruth Built. And this is about the new stadium, the first Yankees championship, and the redemption of 1923. So I think it follows a complete season. I have not really had a chance to get into this too much at all. I flipped through it a little bit, read a little bit here and there, decided to pick it up used. but it's in great shape, and I'm excited to get into it at some point. Big fan of this era, as I'm sure a lot of people are when it comes to the Yankees. And the other book that I actually have started is this one, and I think I've mentioned this one before, Praying for Gil Hodges, a memoir of the 1955 World Series and one family's love of the Brooklyn Dodgers. Now, this one kind of caught me off guard because it meant, the title of the book is Praying for Gil Hodges, and on the back of the book, it mentions the story that is pretty famous in baseball history, and anybody that knows the Dodgers probably has heard this before. It's right here on the top. On a steamy hot Sunday, the Reverend Herbert Redmond was celebrating Mass at a church in Brooklyn when he startled his congregation by saying, "It's far too hot. It's far too hot outside for a sermon. Just go keep the commandments and say a prayer for Gil Hodges." And so I read that, and the rest of it is just like some quotes from people saying, "Hey, this is a great book," including Doris Kearns Goodwin, who wrote Wait Till Next Year, which is another really great book about the Brooklyn Dodgers. And for those of you that have seen the baseball documentary by Ken Burns, Doris Kearns Goodwin is in that documentary talking about her childhood as a Dodger fan, and her book Wait Till Next Year really kind of gets into that in more detail. I don't know what I thought when I got this book, because they call out that anecdote from the pastor, and I don't know what I thought. I thought this was going to be like a book about like local stories of Brooklynites and the 55 World Series. But then as I started reading it, I quickly realized, like, no, this really is about one particular family, and it's one guy recalling his childhood with his mom and his dad living in a really small apartment in Brooklyn, and just their in and out, like day-to-day life and the circumstances that he grew up in, and talking about the 55 World Series. But it's less about, like, the baseball's in there and it's kind of woven into it, but it's more, really, to me, so far, it seems to be more about like life in the 50s in Brooklyn and growing up in that world, which is interesting. It's not what I was expecting, I guess, but that's not a bad thing. I think I just maybe I just judged the book by its cover, and I'm getting surprised as I go through it. So anyway, the Dodgers and the Yankees. How do y'all feel about that series? Anybody have any predictions? I haven't really been watching, but I've been catching highlights and stuff and watching recaps, and I've seen a lot of texts flying by. Let's see. Chris from Missouri is here. We're so glad you're here, Chris. What's up? Oh, really? Okay, that's great to hear, Larry. I mean, so far so good for me. I have been enjoying it, so I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it as well. Cool, Warren. Whichever one you get, I hope you let me know how you feel about it. It'd be good to catch up about it. Rocket Rick says, I hope to see you all at the December Philly show. I'm going to be pulling out all the stops to be there. Very cool. If anybody's going to the Philly show, make sure you connect with Mr. Rocket Rick. Mike will be there. However, you won't see him because he will be a spirit. Rocket Rick says Yankees in 6. Of course he does. What's up, Will? Have I heard of the book The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell? No, I have not. I'm going to look it up right now. Will, what's your take on the book? Let us know in the comment here while I look this book up. The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell. I'm going to share my screen here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Maybe some of you guys have heard of this book. So here it is on Amazon. The Uncommon Life of Danny O'Connell, a tale of baseball cards, average, quote unquote, average players, and the true value of America's game. At the bottom it says, and I think this is a quote from Bob Costas: "Being an average Major League Baseball player means you're a better ball player than 99% of all those who ever swung a bat. And it may just mean that your story is much richer than your average stats suggest." I'm curious if there's a little bit more of a description here. It says the author explores the life of Danny O'Connell, a player often overlooked in the annals of baseball history due to his status as a common card in the collecting world. O'Connell's story is much more than his on-field performance. It's a tale of the human spirit embodying dreams, disappointments, and the unnoticed grandeur of an ordinary life. Through the engaging narrative, the book offers a window into America's pastime through its golden era, providing insights into a time when baseball was not just a sport, but a cultural cornerstone that helped and shaped and reflected the American experience. Cool. That's great. I really appreciate you calling this book out, Will. Has anybody else read this book or know about it? Will says, haven't picked it up yet. I saw it advertised in this month's Baseball Digest. Looks interesting. Larry's trying to get this guy's autograph, and it's an impossible one to find for the 58 top set. O'Connell was part of a trade between the Giants and the Braves that brought the Red Shandings to Milwaukee, a trade that resulted in a World Series championship in '57. How about that? Thank you, Hammer 44. I mean, that sounds like my type of book. I mean, that's kind of how I collect that. I think a lot of us vintage collectors like to try to find players that may not be big household names, but are nevertheless interesting. And Warren just bought it. Hey, how about that? I'm definitely going to put it in my wish list. You know, that from the description of that book sounds like what a lot of us do here on YouTube, which is try to bring attention to cards and players that may not always get that attention. Bobby Thompson was also a part of that trade and sent him back to New York. That's right. That's cool. Well, hey guys, it's coming up on 8:30. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the link in here. If anybody wants to hop in, say hello, share some stories, some cards, ask questions, chat it up. The StreamYard link is below. Otherwise, I'm happy to take a look at comments. If anybody has any cards that they want to look up on eBay, any topics, anything on anybody's mind, ready to go. But I definitely appreciate that book. Looks like Jason is going to start pumping the Sports Spectacular show in Chicago, which is in November. I will not suggest the 51 Bowman Paul Richards tonight. Thank you, Mitchell, for holding back on that temptation. That Paul Richards card is not going to be matching Eddie Wakas. We just can't let that happen. All right. Well, the lines are open. We have a caller. Caller, go ahead.
Hello, Alex.
Hello, Rocket Rick J18. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? How are you feeling? I know you said the Yankees in 6.
Yeah. Well, I just couldn't be any more positive and certain that, like they did in 77 and 78, they gave them the first 2 games, and now they're going to take 4 straight.
Okay.
It's a pattern, so I'm thinking that's probably how it's going to go.
Yeah, you're leaning on history. I like that. Okay.
Well, I got a couple cards that I'd like to show you.
Great. Go for it.
Here's a guy that, I think is, really been underrated and he was, I think, a great pitcher, Bob Lemon,
Okay. Yes.
and really certainly took the handoff, I think, from Bob Feller, and along with Mike Garcia and Early Wynn, really
Yep.
put a powerhouse pitching staff together for quite a few number of years, and then he kind of just sort of faded into obscurity. So he comes to my attention because he is card number 268, and in my quest to get the the lower number runs in the 52.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's, anyway, it's just he was also really an important card to get, another high number in the 49 Bowman set. So he's just one of those guys that you don't hear about a whole lot, certainly not now. But even when I was growing up, Bob Lemon, just didn't hear that much about him.
That's true. And now that you mention it, he's a guy that we don't seem to hear a lot about in the hobby either, for whatever reason.
Yeah. And I got one other card I want to show you.
Yeah.
And this card, I know absolutely nothing about the player, but I think it is really one of the cool looking tobacco cards. And it's, what is his name? Joe, is that Joe Birmingham? Yeah.
That's the thing about those tobacco cards, right?
I mean, I never heard of him before, but of all the different cards that I've seen, either in person or watching shows like Peter B. and some of the other collectors of these cards, this is a beautiful card. I mean, it's stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to learn a little something about him, since I went to the trouble of trying to acquiring his cards. Anyway.
Yeah. Where did you get it? Was it an online purchase?
eBay.
Or?
Yeah. Yeah, both of them actually. So,
I mean, tobacco cards in general are just fascinating, right? But I really do like those horizontal cards. I think, especially when you got a player, pitching or throwing, it's really a cool look.
It's just I don't know. There's just something about it just caught my eye, and said I would think I'd really like to have that card in my collection. And so now it is one of two tobacco card, T206 cards that I have in my collection now. So,
right.
Well, three. I have three. Sorry, almost forgot about Ty Cobb.
How could you forget that, Rick?
I don't know. I don't know. I was so fixated on this card, I forgot all about Ty Cobb.
Do you feel like there's a part of your collection that you'll be kind of going down that road a little bit more pre-war wise?
Oh yeah, I think I'm working on my last major post-war World War II set, so I got to get into something. And, I think I like the idea of collecting cards that I like, or obviously anybody'd like to have a Honus Wagner card, but there's some other cards that I think are pretty cool looking, and I'd like to get some of them.
Right. I mean, I'm all behind that kind of collecting, because the other nice thing about that is if you like a card for subjective reasons, there's a good chance that card's way more affordable than other stuff that's out there.
Well, certainly, you can get one of these for something between probably $50 and $75.
Yeah, that's incredible.
All day long, all day long. Yeah.
Right.
And probably less if you're really being diligent about searching for them, which I'm not. I'm a classic impulse buyer. So, well, that's all I have. I mean, I hope somebody else can pick up the torch and carry it the rest of the way now.
Appreciate it, Rick.
Okay, Alex. Thanks.
All right. Take care. All right. We got another caller right after Rocket Rick, Mr. Sammy Thunder. What's up, Sammy?
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
It's going, man. Good to see you. How is everything?
Not bad. I'm glad things down there have recovered for you.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, things are back to normal. Like my yard looks like my yard again. It doesn't look like a war zone. So, yeah, things are good. How's stuff on your end?
Good. You know, I've kind of taken kind of a step back from card shows, well, with the exception of yesterday, but it's kind of, well, you know, it was kind of nice to kind of take a little bit of a breather. So for, I think it was like maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I guess for for shows in the East Coast, I mean, that's a long time, but for a lot of other people, it's not. So, but you mentioned LaCroix, and so I kind of thought this was fitting. So to give the topic of the conversation, I got some vintage seltzer.
Oh man. Oh, I got it. Oh, what brand is that? It is really just vintage.
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, it's different flavors, and yeah, I love the you know the nice blue color to it. So
Right.
I'm gonna pop that right now.
Well, we got another guy that is just following after you. This guy.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
he just beat me to the punch. That's all it was. I was actually getting ready to jump. I'm like, is Sammy really gonna get on before me now? Sammy, you can't get away from me. I think Theo called me called me a minion of yours when we were at the National.
No, we're co-minions. We're co-minions.
Right. I jumped on because you know, I had such a great hobby weekend, and I need to get away from that Bears game. So I actually left my TV. I'm like, I'm gonna go in my future card room and jump on for a couple minutes and say hi to the guys and show some stuff off. But I showed most of this in my video from this morning already. So, Sammy, if you got something to show, go right ahead and do your thing, man.
No. So, I mean, this is going to be featured tomorrow in the video I'm going to do, but I picked this up. This was a trade, traded up the Christy Mathewson portrait. I saw that B. Roth, my buddy, or our buddy Brian, got two of them at the Philly show and sent them in for grading, and one came back a 3 and the other one came back a 2.5. And I thought, man, oh man, this thing, it's just, the 2.5 looked incredible.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
So I traded the PSA 1 that I had plus some cash to Brian, and we made a deal immediately and seamlessly, and Piedmont back, and
gosh, it's kind of flawless.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, every T206 in a lower grade is going to have something going on, but
Yeah.
as far as presentation goes, I'm really floored by it, because the new project I'm working on, building all the portraits of the New York Giants, I needed to kind of have an established footing with the Mathewson. So I figured, let's go ahead and upgrade.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Looks great.
Yeah.
You're exclusive, guys.
Yeah.
Very cool. Jason, what about you?
Well, I had
a little bit about your weekend.
I had a big weekend. I posted a video this morning, which I typically don't post on Sunday. I had an SGC return come back, 4 cards, so I wanted to show some of those, and all related to the hobby in some way. So this is my first one, 57 Minoso and a 5, and this was actually a gift from Topher, the Cincinnati Kid. Sent this to me as a gift, and it was so nice that I had it graded, and it ended up getting a 5, which was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Beautiful card. And then this one I got with Billy Ballgame and Chris from Missouri when I went to go visit them in Columbia, Missouri. I bought this from a dealer that Chris knew. His name happened to be Jason as well. And bought it ungraded, and it was just centered beautifully. 52 Innis Slaughter. and they came back at 3.5, and I was thrilled with that. Very cool. Actually looks undergraded to me, and I'm not one who usually says that, but
Right.
I
Yeah,
think
both of those look really nice.
yeah. And then these two, we kind of dabbled into it a little bit, or I dipped the toe a little more heavily into pre-war, and I was watching Aaron on Value Vintage Cards as well as John Mangini. They were doing that match game, and Mangini brought up the 36 Gotti wide pens. So I picked up a couple. So there's my Luke Appling. And that is actually a 37. I learned more about the sets. The Gotti wide pen has type 1 through type 4, and they were produced in 36 and 37. So this is a 37. And then I got also this Ducky Medwig, Hall of Famer, and this one is a type 1. So this is type 1, and this is type 4, 36 and 37. And you can see the difference in the stock. There's some copy on the bottom of this one.
Right.
So Litho and USA, which constitutes it as a type 1. But those were my pre-war grade. I bought both of those ungraded for under $35 each online, and then had them graded. And then I went out with a friend of mine, and Alex, you actually met him when we were at the National. We ran into my buddy Joe, had that big bag of cards that he had.
And then you like realized that he had stuff that you decided not to buy, or
we actually talked about it. I told him to hold this 56 Ted Williams for me. He held it for me. I bought it the day before.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't need it now. He's like, what? but he we were talking about that on Friday. We went out and actually he sold off most of that bag. So at the National, which you saw how big it was and what he was bugging
good
around.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the meantime, he's a guy who just repurposes cards. That's how he builds his collection. He has a lot of Golden Era stuff, and he's really jumping into pre-war. So he was selling a bunch of it, and we brought some cards to go show each other. He brought an amazing card. I don't tell anybody what it was because he doesn't show his stuff publicly, but he brought an amazing couple of cards, and one of them he bought was for sale, and he said, I thought you wanted that card. And I said, of course I want that card. I actually wanted it in a different year though, but I want all of them. And he said, well, this is for sale. And I said, well, I just don't have the money right now, Joe. I'm saving for Strong Zone National, and we've got the show in November. And he said, well, just take it home and pay me later. And I said, I can't do that. And he wouldn't, and he refused. He wouldn't. He was making me take it home. So, and this is my first Jackie Robinson.
There you go.
Congratulations on that, Jason.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I was really pumped, guys. It's the 55 partial diamond. And obviously, Sammy, you're aware, I was looking for the 56 for the Hall of Fame run because I was with you when I was looking for it.
Right.
I got this 55 from him and 55 from Joe, and obviously I'm going to take care of him much sooner than he thinks. I just can't do that. It's not in my heart to not pay him right away. So, but now the 56 is kind of a back burner for me because I've got an official Jackie, and I'm gonna jump in. I'm still loving this pre-war thing, so I've kind of really jumping into that lately. So that was my hobby weekend. Those cards right there alone, that's because I'm not buying a lot.
Right.
These wide pens were very inexpensive purchases, and aside from that, haven't been buying a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah, watch out. That's how it starts, buddy. You get one Jackie and you can't stop.
So I can never fall into Steven's category. Some of those cards are just way out of my league.
Like the Bond bread. I saw one this week. I saw one yesterday, kind of tucked on the far back of a dealer's display case.
Oh, Jackie Bond bread?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to mention this joke from Mookie about the partial diamond, but before we do, we got another caller here. Let's bring him in here. Special exclusive guest, Mr. Hammer 44. What's up, man?
Hey, Alex, long time listener, second time caller. How are you?
Second time caller, yes. So good to see you, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you too. Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys were able to survive that storm. I mean, I really feel bad. I really feel for all of those who were devastated by that. But I'm glad you're getting back on your feet.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I don't personally deserve all the well wishes that you guys are giving me, but I really appreciate it. There's a lot of people out there that are in way worse shape, but appreciate it. What's going on, man?
Not much. I just wanted to kind of jump in on just showing some cards, and
Yeah.
I've been really focused in on the 50s, and
Yeah.
I kind of sort of got a run of iconic cards from the 50s that I've just picked up this year, and it's really all I've been focusing on. I've done some odds and ends here and there, but I thought I got a small stack here that I'd like to show if it's okay.
Please, absolutely.
Yeah, so to go in line with with the 53 Bowmans that you were showing, and just the photography of this set, it's just absolutely stunning and beautiful. But started with the Warren Spawn,
Right.
then following in Jason's footsteps, I also added
Excellent.
the 54 Jackie, and these are the two ungraded I have, but I'm really getting away from the graded cards. I really like the ungraded, but this is the Jackie.
Yeah, let me stop you right there for a second. Just because, Jason, when you held up your Jackie and you mentioned that it's the partial diamond, I don't know that I've ever noticed, because I don't have that many 55s, that's an actual designation.
It is a designation. It was a misprint on this particular card. So you can see in the corner there, the diamond's cut off on the right edge.
Yeah.
And then on the flip, they actually designate it as the partial diamond.
Right. Now, is that like, does that happen to all the 55s, or is it like, are there like certain ones where it's sent? I don't know if you know anything about that.
The only one that I'm aware of is the Jackie itself, that actually the flip will actually read as the partial. And I'm not familiar enough to know if it makes it more quote unquote scarce than the standard, or
Right.
I don't know enough about it. I didn't know about it. And, Joe, he told me that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. And I know even Steven, the king of Jackie Robinson cards, he texted me on the side and said, oh, I still need the partial diamond as part of my run. So the diehards consider having an additional Jackie, even though it's, it's like having I think there's a couple mini Minosos, the 59, and there's other cards like the Warren Spawn where they have like 4 or 5 different sets of numbers on the back and
the variants,
the variants, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. Well, didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, Hammer, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So here's the next one up.
Oh yeah, those are some iconic cards, definitely.
So I've been working again. I just really enjoy the 50s, and I'm really kind of creating my dad's collection, and I think that's where all this is going to.
Right.
There's the Brooks I picked up just about a month and a half or so ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's in great shape.
Yeah. And then this one is an interesting one. So I actually got this from Ash, and I actually got it at the Dallas Card Show the day before the heist.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Wow.
So, and then of course, back to the 53 Bowmans. I really love that card. This is just a great card. And then I'll finish it off with this one. I picked this up at the National. I only picked up 4 cards at the National, but this was one of them.
Oh man! Wow.
well, yeah. My whole collection wouldn't equal that card. So
does that say that's a 1? Like, what's the back of that card look like?
No, it's oh no, the one. I mean, that's why I got it. I don't know why. It's a 1. It's got some micro creases.
Sure.
Were you really patient in picking those cards? Because like all of them are just really nicely centered.
So this one, believe it or not, I was when I got to the National, I met up with Drew of Vintage Legacy, and him and I literally I picked up this card within the first 45 minutes. Actually, within the first 45 minutes of the National. These were the 2 cards that I picked up.
Wow.
Right.
And so, and he was with me, and we were looking at a couple of the Eddie Matthews, and they were wildly off center, and they were way overpriced. And then we separated for a moment, and this is the exact same time when he was picking up his Ted Williams. So while he was picking up his Ted Williams, I ran across that Eddie Matthews, and then 5 minutes later, the 2 of us hooked back up together. I mean, it was like we were back in grade school again. And I had chatted with him on in comments and stuff on YouTube, but those 2 cards just kind of brought the 2 of us together, and it was like we were friends for our whole life.
Right.
And so But anyway, I just wanted to, while we're showing some cards and while I'm in the 50s, I just wanted to show some of the things that I've been picking up here and there. But to get to Sammy's question, Sammy, I'm just patient, and there's no card out there that I just have to have, unless if I ever come across a card that would match what my dad has described, because he can tell me very specifically, especially his 52 Mickey Mantle, 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. He gives me the exact description of that card. So every time I look for a 52, I'm looking for a couple of characteristics that he has mentioned to me. And if I ever saw that card, that would be one that I would absolutely do. But all the other cards out there, I'm pretty patient unless it kind of, the eye appeal is what's most important to me. And as long as it looks good, I'll pay whatever price it is that I necessary in order to get it. And these were all pretty reasonable. Nothing broke the bank on any of these.
Right. Yeah, but I love that, because it's like you want to get the card, but you want it to be a card that you're happy with, and you're hoping that you don't have to upgrade it at some point, right? It's like that's the card you want.
Exactly correct. And again, it's a card I want to look at. It's not and again, so when I go back to the ungraded, I mean, this is all about the card. There's nothing that takes away from the card. This is about the card, and the back is really good. And so God bless those that are bought into the grading. But for me as a collector, the grading is secondary. I'll buy a graded card if it catches my eye appeal, but I won't buy it specifically because it's great. And I'm not sending any more cards in for grading either.
I think a lot of people are leaning that way, Hammer. And my thing is when I send in for grading, it's not necessarily for a number.
Yeah.
It's to get it encased. And I don't send a lot in. I collect both. And I will buy graded cards in a heartbeat, but my ungraded part of my collection probably outweighs my graded by 2 to 1.
Yeah, and again, please, I mean, those that buy the graded cards or send their cards in for grading, that's a part of the hobby. And absolutely, if that is what is driving your interest in the hobby and makes you feel good, I mean, more power to you. But right now, for me, it's really about the card. It's the nostalgia. It's the story. And I'm actually working on a video where I kind of break down 4 specific categories when I'm looking at a card. And condition is not the driving factor. It's all the other things that go along with it. It's the aesthetics. It's the provenance. What's the story behind it? So when I get this card right here, it's never been graded, so I can't tell, when somebody might have sent it in. But whose hands have this card gone through? And that's really, really important to me as I look at my collection, because some of the cards that I have, the ones that mean the most to me, I kind of know where the card came from. So I do have it. I've got my 52 Jackie Robinson. I know exactly where that card came from. And my dad pulled that back in 1952. And so that card is absolutely priceless to me. There's no grade that PSA or SGC could put on that card that would make it any more special to me than knowing I know exactly where that card came from.
That's awesome. I think that's fantastic.
Right. Yeah, it's weird because I've got the 53 Bowman color set graded, and I bought, like when I built that set, I think I only sent in like 4 or 5 cards to get graded. Everything else was already graded when I purchased it. But the thing that inspired me to build this set were a series of cards that my dad had bought me when I was a teenager. And I still have those cards. And those cards I don't have graded. And I don't think I ever will grade them. And I think it's because the memory of him handing them to me and just having them as a teenager, like I kind of want to see them that way. I don't necessarily need to encapsulate them. Plus I already have them, as graded versions anyway. So I totally get that feeling of like just wanting to have the card and not worrying about, encapsulating it.
Yeah. So the areas that I'm kind of going into when I describe a card is the creativity, and the 53 Bowman set is such a great set from a creativity perspective.
Yeah.
And then the aesthetics, which also fits into there. How does a card look? How does it feel? Kind of everybody thinks of that as eye appeal. But then the provenance, where it came from. And then the final one is the connection. What does that card mean to you, and how do you personally connect to it? As a collector, the connection is the driving thing for me. I could have a card that's absolutely worthless to everybody else, but to me, it could be priceless just because of a connection. It either takes me back to a moment in my life or to a person I've known or whatever the case might be.
Right.
And that's what drives me as a collector.
That's fantastic. I think that kind of runs hand in hand with a lot of vintage collectors, right? I think it's the nostalgia and the, I wasn't around when, Luke Appling was playing baseball. I didn't know anything about it, but I do know for a fact that he was part of the White Sox. I do know that my grandfather followed him. I do know that my dad knew a little bit about him in his later years. So, I mean, those are the kind of things that connect you to those cards and connect you to those stories. If you can add an extra story, like my dad ripped that pack and pulled the 52 Jackie, well, that becomes instantly priceless.
Right. Right.
There it is.
And that's
My
beautiful.
dad, my dad pulled that in 1952.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's priceless. That becomes
It
priceless.
absolutely is. Absolutely is. And it was a double. That's the,
Oh my gosh.
It was a double. Yeah, it was a double.
Did he
Wow.
trade the first one away?
No, he kept those cards, but when he found out the value of them in the mid 80s, he sold his collection. The cornerstones were the 52 mantles, or excuse me, the 51 mantle and the 52 mantle were the cornerstones of that collection, and they were just beautiful, beautiful cards. So now I get to, but it's great. I mean, he sold them. They were his, and he sold them. But now, had he not sold them, maybe I wouldn't be trying to rebuild his collection, and then I wouldn't be getting the enjoyment out of it that I'm getting right now. So
Right.
Sure.
everything happens for a reason. But
Right.
it's great to be a collector and less an investor, at least from my perspective.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most vintage folks would be on that same page. All right, guys, we should probably wrap this up. So everybody out there, thanks for joining in. If you enjoyed this live stream about nothing, give it a thumbs up.
Just hit a button. Just hit a
hit
button.
any button, dislike or like. It's all good. Jason, Sammy, and Hammer, thank you all for jumping in, guys. Really appreciate it. We'll be back next Sunday night. Take care, everybody. Head over to 4 Collectors.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.